we all have to take a personal responsibility for our successes and our failures, because there's no chance you can be successful if you cannot take responsibility for the bad parts. We all have to have the buck stops here mindset if you're going to be successful, because you cannot play the blame game in this business and blame other people in the leads. And when I first got started in like insurance business, I called my mentor and I said, man, these leads, they suck. These people are crazy. And he stopped me and he said, listen, all leads suck. Some just suck less than other ones. And so you have to get it in the mindset. No, it is my personal responsibility every single day to get up and to go out there and make it happen. It is not anybody else's. It's not the sellers. It's not your kids or your wife. You have to take the personal responsibility. It is my job to see me successful. I'm not entitled to anything. It is all up to me.
So recently at Carrot, we held our first ever Market Leaders Summit. Now, this is not your average webinar. What we did is for 2 whole days, we gathered the top real estate investors from around the country, and we picked their brains on exactly what they're doing to thrive in this industry in 2019. We asked them their strategies, their tactics, their tips. We wanted to know everything they're doing that's made them successful real estate investors. So the episode that you're hearing today is actually just one session out of the 16 that we recorded live. If you want to get access to the rest of the sessions for a limited time of 50% off, head to carrot.com/summit, where you can grab all of the recordings for 50% off and have lifetime access to them. Now, in the summit, we had Max Maxwell, who did over $1 million last year in wholesaling alone. He's given away his best strategies. We also had Dave Brown, who is pulling in multiple 6 figures 100% from SEO. We had Christina Kraus dropping absolute knowledge bombs on direct mail and everything she's doing to make direct mail work for her. You see, day 1 of the summit was all about leads. How do I get more leads? How can I close more deals? Day 2 was about how can I build a business for freedom, flexibility, profit, and impact? How can I really build a business that sets me free? Systems, hiring, everything else you need to know. So head to carrot.com/summit to get the recordings while they're still here. Enjoy this episode, and we'll see you in just a bit. So in this episode, you're going to be getting to hear a conversation between a man named Beau Hollis and our host, Trevor Mock. Now, Beau Hollis is a master of cold calling. He is a people person, and he is just an awesome guy to know. So Beau Hollis actually got his start in the insurance world before transferring over to real estate. And last year, he closed over 200 deals on cold calling alone. He's going to be giving away his scripts, his techniques, and everything he does when he's on the phone with people so that he can help you close some more deals too. But real quick, before we roll the episode, I want to let you know where you can get access to the rest of these sessions.
Hey, everybody. Insanely pumped about our next guest on the Market Leader Summit. And Beau and I, man, I've been following Beau, stalking him on Facebook for a little while. And then so pumped that he came out to Carrot Camp this last September with some other amazing investors, Max Maxwell, Matt from California. I mean, just like tons of amazing people. So as we were looking at the summit, and I was kind of looking at the different types of investors I wanted to bring on. Well, one thing that Beau's insanely good at is cold calling, number one, but also he's just great at sales. And he's done a lot of deals, tons of deals. We'll talk about it here in a little bit, what's working, what he's forecasting for 2019. But he's done a lot of deals with a really, really small team. And some of it, that was part of the thing at Carrot Camp. Like a lot of people needed to build a team at that last Carrot Camp, which is cool. But Beau Hollis, man, welcome on to the Market Leader Summit.
Hey, man, I'm really glad to be here. This is an honor, and I'm just so excited to be here with you, man. It's just a privilege and kind of like a dream come true, man.
I love it, dude. So you're a guy, and I've said it a lot of times before to people in private, but I want to get you on the Carrot Cast as well, in addition to the summit. But you're a guy that I love your energy. I think your heart is in the right spot, and you're really out there to build a really cool company. And the thing I think a lot of people don't get is when they see you on the front of it, on what you're doing on social or here, you've got an operation behind the scenes, man, that when people hear what you're doing with the resources that you have, it's amazing. So why don't you just 60 seconds tell people, number one, where are you from? What's your company Simply Sold? Kind of what type of real estate do you do? And what does your current business volume look like? And then we're going to dive into what's working and what to forecast for 2019.
Great, man. So my name is Beau Hollis, and I live in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and we do all of our volume right here in the Louisville and Southern Indiana markets. And I've been wholesaling a little bit over 2 years, and done a lot of deals, big deals, small deals, free deals, just lots of different deals. And it's me. I have an acquisitions manager, assistant, and some VAs that we run our business with.
Cool. And you guys are mainly doing cold calling still, right?
Yes, we do cold calling, and we are transitioning from a broad cold calling to other very strategic stuff that I'm sure we're going to get into here shortly.
Yeah, dude. And that's the perfect stuff I'm pumped about diving into. So there's probably people popping comments into social media and Facebook or Instagram, wherever it is, but we're going to be diving into that stuff. I know you and Max Maxwell do similar stuff, and Max is coming on here as well. And so same thing, just to wrap this up, give people for context for your business. I know you're doing more than 2 deals a year, right? So about what was your volume in 2018 or so? So give people context, and we'll jump into 2019 to help people plan for 2019.
So now let me start with this. At the very beginning of 2018, I had me and an acquisitions manager, and that was pretty much it. My background, just a brief, I can go over this really quickly, my background is in insurance sales. I did life insurance sales for Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, really large companies. I was very good at what I did in my past business. And what we did was I trained life insurance agents to sell life insurance door to door. So we went around knocking on doors, and I trained large companies and agents how to sell life insurance. So I was really good at building rapport, talking to people. And the acquisitions manager that we had at the time, he did the same thing. And so we were able to we understood the daily process of a lead-driven business. So that's my background, is how to handle volume and structure lead flow. So that's where my background is there. And so to answer your question is that at the very beginning of this year, we had just the market in our city was just smoking hot. People would, we could get deals left and right, and we did a ton of transactions. One month, I put 33 houses under contract in one single month between me and
dude, that's crazy. So, that's one of the reasons I want to bring Beau on here, y'all. It's like so many people, they have boundaries set in their mind mentally on what they can and what they can't do. And Beau's pushing a lot of those boundaries. So, all right, continue, man. I love it.
We had some really huge months, right? We had some really, really big months. We had some small months as well. So, you have to give the good you have to give some of the bad with the good too, right? To be honest and open, you have some huge months, you have some small months, but I think we averaged overall, with big months like that, we're averaging anywhere from 8 to 10, transactions a month. Maybe some more, maybe less, but roughly about that. I stopped kind of counting at about halfway through about July. I stopped counting really my deals volume because I was transitioning. I was starting to really latch on to Carrot, and my mindset totally shifted about July and of what was really important to me. And I think that's why I'm here right now. So.
I love it, man. So what was working this last year, man? I know, and I want to break that down for people, because where we are right now in the real estate market, of course, we've been in this, as we've said a million times, this 8 to 10 year upswing. And in many parts of the market, things have shifted or are shifting. And when I talk with a lot of investors, there's different strategies at different parts of the market, whether it's marketing strategies or strategies in how to actually serve the demand in the market. What were you guys doing in 2018 that was working, and did anything stop working as well? Like, did some things kind of wane in effectiveness over the course of the year?
Yes. So there's a couple things that we really did was we cold called really well on niche lists. So we really did that. We honed in on that and really spent a lot of time cold calling. And it's hard to believe, me and acquisitions manager, we did a lot of the cold calling ourselves because of our background and experience with door knocking, you know? So we felt really comfortable talking to random strangers and getting through that initial conversation. So we did that really good. And then we also adopted ringless voicemails, and we did that really good. Really trying to when you're trying to go for volume, you just cast a wide net and you just grab all the low hanging fruit you can, and just hope, kind of throwing spaghetti against the wall and hope it sticks.
So how many calls in a given week or month were you guys doing to pull in those 8 to 10 deals?
Well, let me start with this. We were really good at our jobs. And so we could probably talk to and contact between 100 to 200 people to get a deal. And so that was our that's not standard across the business, but typically it's about 600, I think, is standard between roughly. But we would just be calling a couple hours a day apiece, and we would be definitely be talking to as many people we could every single day. We would time block out, and we would get talking to those people, and we would stop what we're doing and go see the houses right away.
Dude, so before we jump into 2019 stuff, one thing I want to toss back at you is you had mentioned that there's a clear difference between what you're doing and what most people are doing. Once you get someone on the phone or once you get in front of someone, your ability to build rapport and negotiate and stuff like that. Are there a couple things that other people could emulate that you're doing that will make them better at what they're doing? So rather than 1 in 600 turns into a deal and you're 1 in 100 to 200, what if they could bridge that gap and now go from 1 in 600 to 1 in 300? What things would you suggest they do?
Yeah. So first off, number one, we are not in the real estate space. We are in the people business. Number one, we are in the people business, and it just so happens that we deal with houses. Houses are a byproduct of what we're doing. People's problems in this niche market happen to deal with houses, and they need to offload those houses. So number one, if you can get in your head that you are dealing with a person, and that person may have multiple problems. People may have died or passed away, moved on, they're living in different states, and their issues many times could be alleviated by getting rid of a property. So that's number one, is that we are in the people business. So always put people first. That's number one. And then a mindset shifting when you are in a lead-based business, because we are all in a lead-based business in real estate marketing, so to speak. So this is a lead-based business. In my past business, it taught me how to handle high volume of leads, because we would knock 50 doors a day, go knock on these doors, and I would have to keep a tally of all the people I'm talking to, all the Miss Johnsons, Betty and Sam and Joe and all of these people, and keep track in my head. So to bring it back here, one of the things that I had to think when we were getting on this call, like what makes me different, or what makes me different than other people. And I would say when I first started in insurance and in this business, I asked myself this one thing, and it changed my business. This one single question. And I think if anybody could take away one thing, it would be this. I hope that you can take this, is that every single day when you wake up, you have to ask yourself this one question. Who am I going to talk to today that has a property to sell? You have to ask that question. Then you have to go and answer it. So you can ask yourself that question all day long, but if you're not in that question, you're not going to get a deal. So this is a lead-based business. Who am I talking to today that has a property to sell? And make yourself, whether it's cold calling or sending voicemails or writing letters, whatever you do, make yourself answer the question, where am I putting myself in front of somebody? You have to be in front of somebody to get a signed contract.
Dude, and that's I'm so glad you said that, because that's such a fundamental in growing a business, right? There's some advice that I heard years and years and years ago when I was starting my own companies, and the guy basically said, he's like, a lot of people ask me, how do I make more money with my company? He's like, you make more offers to people. And this wasn't a real estate business. This was like, he goes, if you're in the aquarium selling business, you make more offers to people. If you're in the car selling business, you make more offers to people. If you're it's just the same thing. You've got to actually connect with the person that you can help and make some darn offers. And that's what you're talking about.
You have to do that. And you have to, this is so cliche, but you have to be brilliant at the basics, like the very basics of this business. You have to be really good at it. And the guy who talks to the most people, sits in front of the most people, and writes the most offers is going to make the most money 10 out of 10 times. Every single time, the guy who is talking to the most people is going to win every single time.
And dude, so often we talked about this at Care Camp when you're out here a little bit too, where so often people get caught up in all the details of things that don't actually make them money right then. And one of the details is getting all wrapped up in CRM. It's like, well, CRM is great and you need it when you get a high volume of leads, but out of the gates, you just need to talk to people. And then when you have so many people that you can't handle the organization of it anymore, then the CRM, it's like, yeah, you need it then.
Yes.
It's interesting.
My main goal is to get a yes or a no out of somebody.
Yeah.
That's it. I want a yes or a no so I can move on, compartmentalize the deal and move on. Like yes or no. I want to get out of the gray zone of maybe and ifs and what ifs. I just want to stay in the yes or no. If you're yes, great. We're going to take a step forward. No, okay, we're going to put you on the back burner and call you later.
So when you're on the phone with someone, as an example, that first 10 to 15 seconds, what's something you might say that kind of gets your foot in that door on a cold call that edges your competitors out? Okay,
so when you're first talking to somebody at the very beginning of a phone call, this sounds simple, but I'm a very simple person, hence the name Simply Sold. I try to keep things very simple and elementary, okay? Because that makes the best. So when you're talking to somebody, I always talk with a smile every single time. I know that sounds so simple, but if you put a smile on your face and you were talking to somebody, I promise you, most times, unless they've had a really bad experience recently and they're just the Grinch, you're going to have a good success with them. So I start with a smile and I just, say, hey, I'm Beau. I'm looking to buy properties in the area. And, have you thought about selling it or would you consider an offer? That's it. And let them tell you, well, maybe. Okay, great. Well, you have some time to talk about it or I catch you at a bad time. So be happy. Don't be fake. Be happy and just be a happy person. People like happiness because there's the reason why. If you turn on the TV at all, at any level, there's so much negativity. Just talking to a happy person that is a real person, it goes a long way. Just be genuine.
I don't know if anyone noticed this. So while Beau was even saying that last segment, before he even kind of went into the example of what he would say on a call, he was smiling while he was explaining that. And I don't know if you guys could hear. I mean, I can't even explain it, but you could like hear the smile, come out. I love it. So if people are getting the recordings of these, of course, we've mentioned a lot of times, but we have the recordings for sale in the summit. There's a link below here, but go back and listen to that little section again to see how you could really hear the difference on how Beau was talking. Because I'll talk with a lot of people and they're trying to pace all their words just so they're kind of nervous a little bit potentially. Or part of it too is a lot of people have a lack of confidence that their service is truly helping and changing someone's life. And so they're almost like, they're almost on their heels coming into that phone call or coming into that in-person meeting. Like, oh, I'm here if I can help you, but if not, that's okay kind of thing. It's like, no, you're smiling. You're crazy confident what you have to offer. If it's a fit, it's a fit. If it's not, it's not, right?
Absolutely. And realize this too. There's nothing that someone can say to you on the phone that is too crazy, right? Maybe they're going to swear at you or be wild, but you're on the phone. They can't hit you. Door-to-door sales, man, people can do whatever they want. They could be psychos.
Yep.
So just be confident and just smile. Like, I know that is like the most basics, but if you get really good at that, people are going to want to talk to you.
So you said you have some VAs in your team now. Are you doing cold calls now still, or do you have some other people doing that for you now?
So now we have VAs.
Okay.
It's a little bit different with VAs because we use foreign VAs. We don't use, obviously, the virtual assistants, and we don't use in-house people yet. And so with a foreign VA, it's quite a different thing. You have to do a lot more hand-holding, a lot more training, lots more videos.
Yep.
Listen to them. You really have to be a manager. A really, really good manager and really a good coach to get them to be as good. And then number two, you just have to realize too, they will never be as good as you. It's not happening. It's not happening. And it may be, I mean, in my experience, it's not, but I do know some guys who are highly successful with VAs, and it just takes lots of coaching, training, and being a great manager.
So, dude, with the VAs, and same thing, Max Maxwell, he uses VAs for a lot of his stuff as well for the cold calling. Are there certain metrics you're seeing with the VAs? You mentioned a deal for every 100 to 200 calls when you or your acquisition manager making them. What are you seeing with VAs right now?
So with VAs right now, I think that we're I mean, you're looking at probably we look at contacts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many times did they have to talk to someone to get one deal, right? So ours, you know, the best, and I think Brent Daniels, his best dude is like 137 contacts per one deal, you know, and then the average person is like one to 100, like 600. And I think a VA, you're probably going to look at about 1,000 contacts. So you're potentially losing deals for that, but you have to figure out the cost ratio if it's what you're spending is worth it. It all comes down to data, and how much you're willing to pay to get a deal. That's the bottom line there, which we speak highly of on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly, man. So once a VA makes a contact, are they then passing it over to the acquisitions manager once they kind of gauge interest? Is it a live patch? Is it hey, the acquisitions manager will call you back later? Kind of what's the process there?
So we have them say our partners, Beau or our acquisitions manager's name. They're going to contact you, and so we use Mojo Dialer, and we have integrated with Investor Fuse, and Investor Fuse then takes our hot leads, warm leads, whatever the VA pushes, and it pushes it right into Investor Fuse, and we get a notification.
Cool. Dude, I love it, man. Last question on 2018, then going to 2019. So you mentioned you're using niche lists, and the cool thing about this, y'all, is the stuff Beau's saying, we haven't heard, it's not like we haven't heard some of these things in other places. And actually, I love those oftentimes the most is, if you just use what people are doing, you don't have to reinvent the darn wheel. Just go in there and execute the foundations, get great at the foundations, like you said, the basics. And then you get in there and get really, really good at the levers within it. And that's what Beau's got really good at, certain lever points. He's got really good at how to build rapport and negotiation. That's a lever point he pulled to get better results. He got really good at how to make the phone calls and dial that in. He created a process and he trained his VAs on it. And that's something he's getting good at now. So look at the process, but then you got to identify, what am I going to get really good at, nail it, and then get it good at other parts of it. So those niche lists, did pretty much the same list work all year in 2018? Are you seeing any shifts now, moving into 2019? Are some lists not working as well that other people are calling, or what's kind of going on with cold calling now?
Yeah, so let me just be an open book here, because I'm a believer in everything is free. Like every single thing out there is free if you go look for it. So you can listen to podcast after podcast after podcast, and I promise you can find someone's entire training course on different podcasts.
Yep.
So every single thing is free. Nothing is new under the sun, right? There's no one is coming up with brand new ideas and mind-blowing stuff. They're getting it from somewhere else. Go to YouTube, watch this stuff. It's all free. So I'm not going to keep something from somebody. So cold calling has grown rapidly in popularity in 2018. And then from me being on different podcasts and doing things like this, guys locally in my market, they're hopping on cold calling and doing things, right? That's kind of how the business works. So you see maybe I can't get the numbers like I used to get, because there's other guys in my market who are cold calling that come to my meetups or different things and ask me questions, and I tell them what to do. So they go out and get those deals. And so cold calling, the best list that you always will get, no matter what, will always come from your city. Every single time. They will always come direct from your county, whether that's code violations or tax delinquent, those kind of things. They are free from your city. And those always have worked best for me. I went for a whole entire year of 2017. I did every deal, I think, but 5 off of a code violation list.
Really?
Yeah, every deal I did off of code violations. Now, we didn't have a huge year, but probably maybe 50 deals or something like that, maybe more. Yeah. I don't really know. I didn't count that much, but I know at least 50. So those kind of lists right there, really city lists, and then absentee owners are my favorite 2 lists, or a couple lists, definitely.
Cool. And dude, it's
slow down a little bit in the end of the year.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I've talked about this before. I don't have my big whiteboard behind me, otherwise I'd draw it. Right now, I'll move it in for another session probably, but is just like market cycles, like marketing, I call them marketing cycles as well. Marketing goes through cycles. So if you're to look back probably 8 to 10 years ago, cold calling was the jam. Like cold calling was it. I remember I was doing cold calling off of Craigslist ads in 2007 for a mortgage company. And I wasn't crazy like Craigslist ads, Craigslist posting. I was cold calling 50, 60 people a day for Craigslist. This is miserable what I was doing it. But it was like the thing to do. And then it was direct mail, and everyone's like, oh, why are you cold calling? Let's send out direct mail pieces, right?
Yeah.
And then it became, well, shoot, my direct mail response rates. I was able to get a deal for every 1,000 pieces. Now it's 5,000 pieces or 10,000 pieces. And I need to go over here because leads at cold calling are pennies instead of dollars or whatever. And the thing is, it goes in cycles, y'all. So don't become an expert in one marketing method so much to the extent that is the only one that you will use, because just know it might shift. Your direct mail is going to be jamming again in 2 or 3 years. It's working really good right now. It's working really good, but response rates are down. You got to figure out how to make it work. And my prediction is in 2019, cold calling is going to continue to get more flooded, but still work really, really well. So work insanely well. We get more flooded. And it sounds like you're seeing a little bit of that moving into this year. A little bit more competition.
Yeah, and competition I think is irrelevant as long as your skill is better than somebody else's. And so I don't care if other people are cold calling, because I'm not betting on them, I'm betting on me. So I don't really care if somebody's cold calling. It's just, if you have a better skill than somebody else, it's just kind of like it's not competition, but as my local guys, if they end up watching this, they know I'm like, hey, bring it, man. Let's just bring your A game and let's go at it. Because more times than not, we do deals together, so it's fun.
Dude, so that attitude you just mentioned, I want every single person, especially if you're a newer investor, to latch onto this. And what Beau said is really, really, really big. He said, I'm not betting on them, I'm betting on me. And I love that attitude, because when you go into your marketing that way, number one, like you said, it's not an adversarial relationship with your competitors. It's a competitive relationship then, right? But then also number two, you're going into that with confidence. When a lot of people talk about competition and they talk about their struggle with competition, my market's too competitive, what they're doing is they're betting on the competition. Like exactly what you said, they're betting on them. They must be so amazing. All this competition out there, they're great. They're diminishing themselves, dude. What you said, I've never heard it that way. I love it. I'm gonna have to make it like a canvas on my wall, something like that.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so many times you take yourself out of the game, because when we used to be in the life insurance business, we would prejudge somebody's needs based on their zip code. We would say, oh man, this person's in an expensive zip code. Why in the world? We'll take our lead and look at it and say, why would they need my services? Because they have money. They live in a money zip code. Or these people might need me because they live in a lesser money zip code, or is cheaper housing there. They may need us. And we would prejudge people based on our perception of whether we think they need us or not, when they already had filled out these cards like, yes, I want to talk to somebody about life insurance. And so I would just say, you know what, I'm not going to pay attention to this stuff. I'm just going to go knock on the door. And if you prejudge somebody or prejudge your situation prior to you actually taking action, you're done. You're out of the game, because there's people out there who are just going to not care about that stuff. And you just got to go out there and just do it. You can't worry about what someone's going to think about you, or whether somebody else is cold calling. And there's probably 100 people or 200 people cold calling my market right now. And I have only met one other wholesaler ever at the exact same house at the same time.
I love it, dude. So other things in 2018, you started doing some online marketing. I know you've been a Carrot member for a while, but you hadn't really focused much on it. At Carrot Camp, you came here, and that was kind of part of your things. Like, hey, I want to ramp up my online side a little bit. I know you closed a Facebook deal. Have you started to do any other things with the online side leading into 2019? And what's your outlook for your overall marketing mix in 2019? You've got cold calling, you're starting the online side of it. Anything else you're looking at in 2019?
Yeah. So, we talked about this several different times, personally, and, a lot of this comes with, happiness too. Okay. Yeah. You can do tons of different deals, but me and my acquisitions manager, Richard, at the time, he's a great guy. He's doing his own thing now. And, we had talked at the time, is it worth it to do this much volume? And we both decided, no, it wasn't. It was just for the time's sake. We didn't spend time with our families, and money was good, but at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, we're working night and day all day long. Part of that is team, but so I decided probably July, August of this year that I needed to scale back a little bit, cut back on my deal volume, go for quality over quantity, because you can get really good deals. If you do a few of them, you can make up 4 or 5 deals can make up for 15 bad deals,
Yeah.
So, and you you preach this all the time, So I really took a lot of your advice, and I'm going quality. And I came to Carrot Camp in September, and really I decided to go all in. So we did the concierge service and worked for the team there at Carrot. And something that I just really wanted to do was brand build. And I decided, if I have to do a deal a month just to pay my bills, just to, be here in 2 or 3, 4 years as the number one guy when anybody searches, hey, I want to sell my house in Louisville, Kentucky, that they come across Simply Sold. That's my goal right now, is being number one. They see my face, build my brand. And that's kind of what I wanted to do rolling into 2019. And that's why I came to Carrot Camp. And that's worked out really well for me right now. We launched it, and I'm very, very excited about what that is going to bring in the next 6 months, year, and beyond.
Dude, and that's the important thing. And one of the reasons we're doing the summit here is we're not just talking about real estate markets shifting. We're also talking about how it's technology impacting and shifting, and the use of people's usage of technology to find services. And every single year, I'm going to say this 800 times during the summit, but every single year, the adoption of the technology side of it increases. It doesn't decrease, okay? It doesn't decrease. And so when you start to look at that, and everyone's got their cell phones right here, and whether you're doing cold calling or direct mail or PPC or none of that, and someone's going to the internet to look for solutions to their problems, the internet side of it gets higher and higher quality, okay? And the cool thing about it is the way that the internet works is a little bit different than some of the offline stuff, right? If it's direct mail, there could be 35 postcards in the same mailbox at the same time that people have to kind of sift through and toss and whatever. With online, there's really the 4 or 5 spots at the top of Google that get the vast majority of the traffic. So you're only competing with a handful of people in each search phrase. There's hundreds of search phrases, hundreds of them. I think a lot of people focus on the 1, 2, 3 search phrases too much. Like, those are the high volume, but there's probably another 100 in your market that no one's focusing on, because they're all focusing on we buy houses, sell my house fast, cash home buyer, stuff like that. But then the biggie is, it's not even the ranking stuff. It's the way that people are looking at the internet for trust and credibility. It's the lack of trust and credibility in general with a lot of companies these days. And so when you can stand out, like Beau said, you can see the logo on a shirt, y'all. It's clean, clear, simple logo. I love it. Like, it's really good, clean, clear branding. Brands, content, and experts are going to stand out these next 2 to 3 years in a big way. I think brands, contents, and experts are the ones who are going to win. The people who show up and show a credible front, the people who are easy to work with, the people who seem nice and trustworthy, right? And so I'm pumped that you're building that brand, man, and investing in it. It's gonna pay off in spades.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. It took me a really long time, I will say, to get out of the mindset of, man, I got to be the biggest and the best and do the most deals and make the most money. Kind of put my stake there.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get out of that mindset to do the most. And because most is not always, it does not equal better. My goal was to be $100,000 a month wholesaler. I made it. It was great. It's solid. But at the end of the day, there's a lot more important things to life than just knocking down 100K in a month. Because I didn't really feel different, at the end of the day than I did when I was making less.
Yeah.
And so now I want quality of life. I want things that are more important. That's why I love Carrot. I love kind of the mindset of, longevity, long-term. I want to be here for a while. I want, my place here.
Yep.
And I'm going long-term strategy now, quality over quantity.
Dude, that's so big. We talked about it a little bit at Carrot Camp. I think I brought up Ikigai at Carrot Camp and some other things. And it's interesting. So Joe Evangelista, he's going to be on day 2 of the summit with Mark Evans. And day 2 is really all about systems, but also how do you really truly gain freedom, flexibility, grow those finances, but make the impact. And so really growing the finances side of it on lead gen and closing more deals is day 1. And then flexibility, impact, freedom is day 2. And I'm so glad you're bridging the gap on this one here because that's what's really important, right? It's like, I think all of us, the first thing is like, well, shoot, I want to prove my worth first. I want to do my first handful of deals or whatever. And then once you do, then you go to masterminds, you listen to podcasts, or you talk to investors in your market, and you see this person's doing 14 a month. So like, well, I got to do 10 a month now. And then you get to 10 a month and it's like, well, shoot, I got to do 20 a month now, or whatever it is, or a dollar amount, right?
Yeah.
And it's good having those challenges. I love having the challenges, but at some point, there's this diminishing returns that happens, and you cross that point of diminishing returns. I did. I did for sure too. That's why I started hiring a bigger team, because I'm like, I'd much rather forego. I have $1 million a year payroll. It's like, so I'd much rather forego money for me to get back time. So that's really important, man. So what do you do in 2019 to make that shift, other than dialing up your online marketing, dialing up that side of it, going for higher margin deals, which the online is going to help you get? Anything else you're doing in your team to help you get back that time freedom and focus?
Yeah, so we're gonna continue to cold call. We're gonna do that on a small level. I think I guess it could be a small rabbit trail here, but the end game for most wholesalers should be to build wealth.
Yep.
Cherry pick your best deals, keep them for yourself. So that's for me is wealth building this year, is to build a portfolio for myself and keep them for myself. But for marketing purposes, I'm going to continue to cold call. The online brand presence online is my main focus in 2019. Is my website, my Facebook presence. That's something that I wasn't for sure of. I came to Carrot Camp and talked to you guys, and you guys really knocked some sense into me. And I talked to you and Kylie and just a lot of other guys who were doing those things. And so Facebook, as we I did a Facebook deal. So
yeah, dude.
And
so
I actually got my second one today.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. I got my second one today, which I'm very, very excited about. Super profitable. And
so what were some, if you don't mind sharing, what were some of those numbers? Like what did it cost you Facebook ad wise to pull it in? What's the profit on it, if you don't mind sharing?
Yes, I love sharing stuff like this. So this is good. Okay, so my first Facebook, this is amazing. Like, good stuff just happens to me. If you got in your head,
because you smile a lot, dude. You smile a lot. It gets attracted to you.
So if you just say that to yourself, good stuff happens to me, good stuff is going to happen to you. Okay, and smile and laugh and don't take yourself too serious. And so, okay, so my Facebook stuff, I launched my very first Facebook campaign ever, and I think Kylie helped me just do this or whatever. So I did it, and I went through I bought the masterclass course, and I went through the masterclass course, and I just followed the instructions step by step. It's pretty simple. Launched my very first campaign, and my very first lead that came in was a deal. My very first
and that doesn't happen all the time, y'all. There's no guarantee there, but I love seeing it. When you texted me that, I'm like, no way, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I bought this house, but overall ad spend was $448 for that campaign. So I will say that because it could be very misleading to say that your first lead ended up being a deal when it cost you $3. That's misleading. So it did cost me $448, which still is really, really good, right? It's good quality, good deal there. So I bought the house for $82,000 in a good area, 4-bed, 2-bath house. It was a hoarder house actually, and really disgusting, super nasty. But it's worth probably $175, and I'll probably make about $60,000 on it. And so that was that one. One we picked up today. I think we're probably going to get it for about $40,000, and it's worth $80,000, and it's moving ready. Dude,
so $100,000 between two Facebook deals, and that was September.
Was coming to Carrot Camp. I would have never ever done this if I wouldn't have come to Carrot Camp. So I'm really focused on more of those kind of things, and then I'm doing a test right now too with the market our market has slowed down a little bit, and what happens. It's just my opinion here. A lot of stuff. What happens is buyers, if they see a kind of a slowdown, they'll retract their money out of the market a little bit. A lot of these cash buyers. Now your big guys, they're still going to keep buying because they know the big guys I see, they're buy and hold, they're not flips. So your flippers kind of pull some of their money out of the market. Your buy and hold guys buy. They continue to buy because they can afford more mistakes because they're 30 years, right? They don't care if it's a $10,000 fluctuation over that period of time. But it takes here's what kicks people out of the business here, as I found this out over the years, is that your buyers are pulled back. Your sellers, they still believe their house is worth X. The buyers say no, the market says no, but your sellers are still demanding X. And it takes a long time for the two to marry and meet up, with your sellers saying, hey, okay, I'm going to come to reality now. It's like I'm going to come to, and I'll sell my house for less. And in that gap right there, that little gap of time, most people freak out and quit the business. And so because they can't weather the storm of the sellers wanting more, the buyers saying no. And so once you can bridge that gap, you'll make more money. And then you could do these little things like do your tests on Facebook and get these kind of deals. And so that's kind of in this gap right now that we are in. I'm doing these tests and running these deals. And so I'm taking a lot more deals. Then I'm transitioning to, I guess, the Carrot Camp stuff. I'm buying a lot more properties, and I'm doing a test. The reason I said this, I said all that stuff about the buyers and sellers was I'm doing a test with my buyers. They kind of cringed up some of their fists, right? They will say, you know what, we're not going to do this. We're not going to pay these prices because the market's tightening. Well, I said, well, if my buyers aren't going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and buy these properties because I still know they're good deals and the market can hold some of these prices. And in my market, a median good, really good price home is probably 175.
Yep.
You know, maybe a little bit more, but I like to stay under 175,000 because no matter where you are, people can afford it. So I'm buying these houses myself. I used a guy who came to Carrot Camp.
Jeremy, right? I was talking to Jeremy on the phone last week.
Yeah, me and Jeremy, we partnered up, and he's funded a lot of my deals. And we're just buying them, taking them down, and I'm cleaning them out and selling them right on the MLS, seeing if we can ramp our profits up. And that is becoming very, very profitable, the hotel market for me, because I'm buying my wholesale prices and our profits are going up quite drastically. I don't need a huge fire list.
Dude, so that's such a great insight for right now. And that's one of the core reasons we want to do this summit is because, like you said, we're in a period where there's things changing. And one of those things that you'd mentioned that a lot of people aren't thinking about is that gap in expectation. I love that. So everyone needs to take that mental brain bank. So going in, oh my gosh, so this is what Beau's talking about. My buyer's saying X, the seller's holding on to X. So Beau just gave you guys one strategy to deal with that. Are you doing anything directly with those buyers and sellers to bridge that gap? Or are you kind of like, hey, we've got to wait the 6 months, 8 months, 3 months, whatever that is for the sellers to finally realize the market isn't as hot as they think? Are you doing anything to bridge that gap to sellers?
So what I think is that you're still going to obviously get your really good deals, right? There's still some motivated sellers, no matter what market you're in. They're going to be people who want to sell their house for 40 cents on the dollar. So those are going to be deals who are there. So to keep bridging into 2019 and what we're doing is I'm partnering up with a lot of guys. You know, that is a fantastic way. People don't think of this as marketing strategy, but partnerships and JV joint venture deals with other people and investors, guys who are right now on your buyers list who want to do deals. They know people you don't know. So, think about that right now. There's other people who want to do deals in your market that they know sellers. They just don't know how to bridge the gap between the buyers and sellers. And so you do. So I'm really focusing on marketing to my local guys and doing deals together, making more money together. Like Jeremy there, we're doing deals together. So really JV deals online with Carrot, Facebook, and niche cold calling is really my strategy. And I believe that's a 7-figure strategy for sure, just to do those things and do less is more, I think, in my books here. And
this stuff is awesome right here, y'all. So I'm not sure if everyone's picking up all these nuggets here, because what Beau basically did is he walked you through this transition that he's going into. Man, I'm so pumped that you got the abundance mindset like you shared before. And he really laid those things out for you. So there's a couple things in here just to corroborate some of those things that Beau's saying, where it's not in a silo. It's not just something he's experiencing there. For about 3 years, we've been predicting on our end where, once that market kind of comes to a shift, which we thought it'd be around that 2019, 2020 range, we thought market's going to consolidate. That happens in almost every industry: auto industry, newspaper industry, media. What happens is markets go through cycles, and then as soon as they start to contract, then they consolidate. Consolidation phases always happen in contraction phases. And so you're already seeing companies join together or consolidate. Express Home Buyers Brad Chandler, he's been trying to find people to partner with all across the country and consolidate. 'Cause he's got one skill set and they don't have, and they have something that he doesn't have. They're local. And they're going to be, these people are going to be on the summit. Jamie Woolley, RJ Bates, Cassie, Titanium Investments just merged with Jamie Woolley's company.
Yeah, big time.
And they're big. Like, both companies in Dallas did 100+ deals this last year, y'all, like 100+. And so they went, okay, during this contraction phase, there's a lot of opportunity for us to work together because we have synergies. It's not we're the same person. It's we have synergies. So look for those opportunities in your market. Look for those opportunities to add your value to the equation where someone else needs it and you need them. And don't be afraid to take on those partnerships. If it's an official partnership, do your due diligence for sure. But if it's more of a JV, awesome. Take those on. Don't be afraid of them. Don't look at them as competition. So, Beau, to wrap this session, I'm going to toss something at you really quick. But once again, pump to the year at Carrot Camp this last time around. Jeremy, I think, is coming again this next May, and then we have 2 or 3 other returners from other Carrot Camps that are coming. Edward Beck is coming back again. Some others.
It was great.
Oh man, it was fun. But tossing this into you. So, looking at 2019, you laid out the plan for us. Is there any kind of inspiration or just anything you want to toss at people, whether they're an experienced investor looking to make sure they thrive in this market, or a brand new investor looking to make sure they survive in this market and thrive? Any advice for people?
Yeah, absolutely. I always, I think one of the things that really creates success in an individual, and I know this is preached so much, but like I said earlier, I'm not a real complex individual. I just, I like life, and I like keeping it real. So for me, there has to be a level of accountability in each of our lives. And what I mean by that is, like, we all have to take a personal responsibility for our successes and our failures. If you want to be the man, so to speak, you have to actually take responsibility for your failures just as much as you do for your successes, because there's no chance you can be successful if you cannot take responsibility for the bad parts too. Like, hey, I had a hiccup here in this month and it was because of me. We all have to have the buck stops here mindset if you're going to be successful, because you cannot play the blame game in this business and blame other people in the leads. And when I first got started in like insurance business, I called my mentor and I said, man, these leads, they suck. These people are crazy. He stopped me and he said, all leads suck. Some just suck less than other ones. And so you have to get it in the mindset. We're all here to win, and you have to say, if it's, this is so funny and corny at the same time, but if it's to be, it's up to me, right? You have to have the buck stops here mindset that says, it is my personal responsibility every single day to get up and to go out there and make it happen. It is not anybody else's. It's not the sellers. It's not your kids or your wife. You have to take the personal responsibility. And that's something I've really tried to take very personal. It is my job to see me successful. I'm not entitled to anything. It is all up to me. And then obviously, I'm a Christian, so I really believe in giving and, Christ. And so for me, that's a big part of my life is trying to give back and really trying to keep things in perspective in my life. And, just having a good perspective, no matter where you are in life. I've been through a lot, and, like with my son's health, my son had open heart surgery when he was 6 days old. And that gave me a lot of perspective, and so I based every decision I make just like this. And I'll end it with this, is that I base everything. Like I felt the lowest of the low when I was sitting in the hospital for a month in ICU, and he had a surgery, and I was really, sad. I was down on myself, and I was really feeling really depressed. And I don't seem like a depressed guy, and I never thought I ever had a depressed moment in my life until then. But I felt, once we came out of that season, I felt, there's nothing in the world that can make me feel this bad again. At least that's what I thought, right? So everything I do, even if I fail, if I quit, or something crazy happens to me, I always think, you know what? At least I'm not in the hospital. At least I'm not, my son's not sick. At least this is not happening. If I lost everything, I know I could have friends to be around me to pick me up. I'd go sleep at my parents' house. I could borrow money from Trevor.
That's right. Yeah.
So I know that at the end of the day, I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm above the ground, and that there's nothing that could stop me except my mind, and just trying to be positive and have a good perspective in life. If you can have a good perspective, there's nothing that can stop you. And I'm convinced that the only thing that can stop you is your belief.
Dude, that was awesome, man. I love it. So, Beau, I'm so pumped and proud of you, first of all, but I'm so pumped that you're able to carve out the time and join me here and the thousands of others watching the summit. And And that's why everyone to take what he just ended this with to heart, because you can execute every single thing he told you before. You can execute it all, and you can at the same time have nothing. You have nothing inside, have nothing that you really are excited and pumped about living for. And we don't want that. These businesses should fuel our purpose, should fuel our passion, should fuel our happiness. And so make sure you guys and gals show up to day 2. That's what the majority of day 2 is going to be about. Okay. So Beau's priming us here. Beau's priming us for that stuff. And the majority of day 2 is going to be about that. And I'm going to dive into it a bunch on my end. We've got other guests talking about how to remove yourself more with systems and how to set up your business to work less so you can focus on the passion. I'm going to be talking about some of the passion stuff in a big way too. But Beau, appreciate you setting us up for day 2, delivering big time for day 1, bringing more traffic and or more leads and deals. And I'm just grateful for you, man. Excited about the year ahead. And hopefully we get to meet up in person again this year.
We will, man. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited about the next coming year, and it's going to be really, really good.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to that episode. If it's going to help you grow your business, make sure you go to carrot.com/summit. Grab the recordings while they're still available for 50% off and $99. That's carrot.com/summit. If you enjoy the Carrot Cast, hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Facebook, drop us a message. We'd love to chat, love to hear your feedback on the episode and what you think, what you want to hear more of. If you regularly listen to the Carrot Cast and you haven't got the chance to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes yet, please head over there and just take a couple minutes to leave us a review. That is our fuel. That is what keeps us motivated and excited about putting these episodes out every single week and engaging with you guys. So thanks again for being a listener, and we will see you next week.